Lie Down with Lions by Ken Follett. Read by John Nettles. The men who wanted to kill Ahmet Yilmaz were exiled Turkish students living in Paris, and they had already murdered an attaché at the Turkish embassy and firebombed the home of a senior executive of Turkish Airlines. Yilmaz's home and office were well guarded, and his Mercedes limousine was armoured. But every man has a weakness, the students believed, and that weakness is usually sex. In the case of Yilmaz, they were right. A couple of weeks of casual surveillance revealed that he would leave his house on 2 or 3 evenings each week, driving a Renault station wagon, and go to visit a beautiful young Turkish woman. The students decided to put a bomb in the Renault while he was getting laid. They knew where to get the explosives, from Pepe Gozzi, a weapons dealer. He would sell to anyone, but he preferred political customers, for, as he cheerfully admitted, idealists pay higher prices. He had helped the Turkish students with both their previous outrages. There was a snag in the car bomb plan. Usually, Yilmaz would leave the girl's place alone in the Renault, but not always. Often she went off in the car, and returned half an hour later laden with bread, fruit, cheese, and wine, evidently for a cosy feast. The students were romantic, like all terrorists, and they were reluctant to risk killing a beautiful woman whose only crime was the readily pardonable one of loving a man unworthy of her. They discussed this problem in a democratic fashion, for they acknowledged no leaders, but all the same there was one amongst them whose strength of personality made him dominant. His name was Rahmi Koskun, and he was a handsome, passionate young man. He proposed consulting a bomb expert, Ellis an American who called himself a poet. He had learnt about explosives as a conscript in Vietnam. Ellis came up with the solution to their problem immediately. The bomb should have a radio-controlled arming device, he said. Rahmi would sit at a window opposite the girl's apartment, watching the Renault. In his hand he would have a small radio transmitter the size of a pack of cigarettes. Only if Yilmaz got into the car alone would Rahmi press the button on the transmitter, and a radio signal would activate a switch in the bomb, which would then be armed and would explode as soon as Yilmaz started the engine. Rahmi liked the idea and asked Ellis if he would collaborate with Pepe Gozzi on making the bomb. "Sure," said Ellis. Then there was one more snag. "I've got a friend," Rahmi said, "who wants to meet you both. Otherwise the whole deal is off, for this is the friend who gives us the money for explosives and cars and bribes and guns and everything." Rahmi set up a rendezvous for the 3 of them on the following Sunday. That morning Ellis woke up in Jane's bed. In his mind he ran over his plan. If all went well, today would be the triumphant conclusion to more than a year of patient, careful work, and he would be able to share that triumph with Jane, if he was still alive at the end of the day. He turned his head to look at her, moving carefully to avoid waking her. His heart leapt, as it did every time he saw her face. Her dark hair was spread across the pillow like a bird's unfolded wing. He looked at her wide mouth, the full lips that kissed him so often and so lusciously. It was a rare delight to see her like this, her face in repose. Normally she was animated. Only when she was sleeping or thinking very hard was she like this. Yet this was how he loved her most, for now, when she was unguarded and unself-conscious, her appearance hinted at the languid sensuality that burned just beneath her surface like a slow, hot, underground fire. When he saw her like this, his hands itched to touch her. This had surprised him. When he had first met her, soon after he came to Paris, she had struck him as typical of the kind of busybodies always found among the young and the radical in capital cities. He had dated her a couple of times just for the pleasure of watching a pretty girl demolish a steak, and then he had discovered that inside this excitable girl there lived a passionate woman, and he had fallen in love. He rolled onto his side, facing her, and the movement woke her, as he had known it would. Her large blue eyes looked at him, then she smiled and rolled over into his arms. "Hello," she whispered, and he kissed her. They lay together.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?